Hello and welcome to Sportsbet Daily. It is May the 7th here. We've got Champions League just about to kick off in about half an hour. Today's show, though, we are going to bring you, we're going to look at obviously the IPL update here. Delhi Capitals, Hyderabad Sunrisers with Ed Hawkins. They're moving over to darts with Russ. NHL betting, it's the Eastern Conference there. So we're going to take a look at some Series 3 bets. And then we bring on Craig Edwards to talk some golf. But let us start us our first segment here. And it really is all heating up. IPL 2019 with Ed Hawkins at Cricket Betting. Hello, how are you doing?
Good to see you, Natalie.
Good to see you as well. Now, big news, Chennai just lost. Obviously favourites, but the odds now have dropped a little bit. So they are not the favourites to win it. But in your mind, are they still the favourites?
Oh, I'm beginning to have a few doubts, actually. Excuse me, because they seem to have this significant problem with Mumbai Indians, who beat them today in the first playoff. That means Mumbai goes straight to the final. So they'll rightfully be short odds on the title outright, and they were slight favourites on the title outright before they played Chennai because of this sort of hoodoo they've got over Chennai. I think it's now 5 of the last 7 that Mumbai have won at Chennai's ground, and Chennai are basically have been pretty much unbeatable against every other team in IPL history when they play at home. But they just can't beat Mumbai. And it was a really appalling performance by Chennai today. They posted about 130 odd. They were never really in the game from the first few overs. A significant problem for Chennai this season has been their inability to have fast starts, making use of the power play overs. They are one of the slowest teams in the power play overs, and they're just not recovering from these slow starts in the latter end of the tournament. They didn't against Mumbai today, and they're likely to come under pressure again in the final eliminator. Let's not forget that Chennai aren't out of the tournament. Yeah. They're still in it.
Yeah.
They've still got a chance. Excuse me. So they could still make the final if they beat the winner of Delhi or Sunrisers. Excuse me.
Yeah. And well, talking about the winner of Delhi and Sunrisers, obviously very close odds here. One thing I do remember you saying to me the whole time is the coin toss, and then that's sort of like really important of who wins that. But it really is neck and neck right now. Delhi Capitals 1.81, Hyderabad Sunrisers at 2.1. How do you recommend playing that game from a betting perspective?
Well, it's a tricky game to sort of get to grips with, really, Natalie, because you'll probably remember right at the start of the tournament, I was going on about how the World Cup squads were going to be announced and teams would lose key players. So all the team characteristics, strategies and form would be completely different at the end of the tournament as it would be from, say, the middle period when they're all settled and they know what they're doing. And that's a real issue with the Delhi Sunrisers matchup.
Yeah.
Delhi haven't actually lost any World Cup players, but they do have a significant injury to Kagiso Rabada, who is the top wicket taker in the entire tournament with 25 wickets, and he won't play. He's injured, and he won't play again in the tournament. So they have basically lost their talisman, and he really did sort of carry the Delhi bowling. It wasn't so hot really throughout the tournament. They could be a little bit flaky with the bat, but basically Rabada got them out of trouble time and time again. But he's gone, so he's not going to play. So who knows what that Delhi team is going to be like without Rabada? It's a when they come under pressure in the field, they would have just thrown the ball to Rabada. Well, they're going to be looking around, and he won't be there. Sunrisers have had a little bit more time to get used to being without David Warner and Johnny Bairstow. And these two are the only two good things about the Sunrisers team throughout the entire tournament. But they're gone. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my throat. And since they've gone, they've really struggled. And they've lost 4 of their last 5. Delhi have won 4 of their last 5. So on form, you'd say Delhi, but again, we don't know what they're going to do without Rabada. But really, Sunrisers have really struggled, and not sure quite what they're doing in the playoffs, considering that 4 out of 5 record defeats they've had in the last few games. So it's a tricky one to go with, really. But what we do know is that the wicket, this brings me back to your question about the toss, is really bowler friendly. So we could have a situation where the team batting first makes about 140, and that would be enough to win the game because it's such a bowler friendly wicket. The average first innings score there is 146, and teams have really struggled even chasing that kind of number. So that's something to bear in mind in running. If someone's got 140, 150 on the board, which I think would be a really good score, 150 is not going to be a favourite score at the break. Probably going to get about 2.4, 2.5, maybe even bigger than that at the break in running. So I think there's value there. There's a price which could be traded. But I think this is all important. I'd like 140 or 150 on the board. And with that wicket as it is, it really helps the Sunrisers bridge that gap. We often talk about in cricket betting, we need some sort of outside factor to help us reduce the gulf between two teams when you've got a really hot favourite. And I know Delhi aren't really hot here, but 1.8, we're kind of inclined to get them beaten without Rabada. So we're looking for outside factors, injuries, weather, or a pitch, a bowler-friendly pitch, and that reduces the gulf. And it kind of plays to the strength of Sunrisers. Okay. Their bowling has been off this season, but this is the perfect opportunity for them to sort of ram home their reputation as a great bowling unit. If they get on this surface and they bowl really well, they're really in the game. And it also will help us out going forward because we won't take too much stock in what Sunrisers do on this wicket. If they win by bowling Delhi out for 130, which they did, by the way, earlier in the tournament, let's not get carried away because in the next game, their odds will be contracted a little bit because of that for the Chennai match. And we can all pile on Chennai knowing this is a bit of false dawn for Sunrisers.
Okay, so as far as the outrights, because I have to say the price is coming in there on Delhi Capitals. Even in some bookies, you get 1.72. Hyderabad Sunrisers 2.1, and that's pretty even across most bookies there. Would you play the outrights, or are you looking at sort of a more man of the match, top bowler, top batsman kind of bet here? What would you advise our odds market viewers to take right now before the coin toss?
Well, because of that Rabada absence for Delhi, the top Delhi wicket taker market is absolutely blown wide open. Bookmakers don't really know what to do with it. But I think there's value there. And if you know your numbers of these Delhi bowlers, the standout pick is Chris Morris, who's also South African, an all-rounder, good seam bowler, good variations, and can bowl at a decent lick. He has got an excellent strike rate of 15.2 in the tournament, and that is second only to Rabada. So basically, the strike rate means how many balls he needs to take a wicket. So you're basically on the most potent Delhi bowler there is because of his low strike rate, because Rabada's not playing, and you're going to be getting odds of around about 4-1. And I think he would probably be favourite if I was pricing this up.
All right.
Ishant Sharma will take a lot of the book because he's a big name. Chris Morris isn't, and he's homegrown Indian player, so he's going to be well supported. But Morris, I think, is a really terrific bet here. Again, on that bowler-friendly wicket, and it will suit him. It is suiting seam bowlers. It's not a spin-heavy wicket. Spin bowlers will get some grip and some bite, but Morris is going to be a real live candidate for that top wicket taker market.
All right, fantastic stuff. And right now, obviously, we've seen Chennai lose today. Who do you think, as it stands right now, who do you think is favourite to win IPL 2019?
Well, you've asked me that question every week, and I've consistently said Chennai every single week. But it's difficult. It's really difficult now to see past Mumbai, and I find that hard to say because we're 58 games in now.
Yeah.
And I still can't work out what Mumbai are about. They don't score big runs. They're their top order is unreliable. Rohit Sharma, who's supposed to be their gun player at the top of the order, has had a disappointing campaign by his standards. He's not really striking at a very fast rate. They often get themselves into terrible trouble. They make bad strategic decisions on the toss. They lost to Rajasthan Royals twice, and Rajasthan for me were the worst team in the tournament. So I can't work out Mumbai at all, but the only thing I know about Mumbai is that they keep beating Chennai. So it's impossible to see past them really on that basis. And if they meet again in the final, which I'm sure they will, and we've been saying that for a few weeks, Chennai-Mumbai is going to be the final. And it could be Mumbai taking the title. And these two are the big heavyweights of the tournament, always have been, always will be. So it's always been about them. They call it the El Clasico of the IPL. So Mumbai for me now.
All right, there we go. That's Ed Hawkins. Give him a follow at Cricket Betting. Wonderful stuff, Ed. We'll check in with you next week where I will ask the question again. Who do you see winning the 2019 IPL? All right, best of luck. See you soon. And for more, if you want to follow, check out Ed's content over at Odds Market. Click Cricket page and you will see a page full of his hard-written work. Thank you, Ed. See you soon.
Bye.
All right, guys, so that wraps up the cricket content there. I'm going to bring on now Russ Yerson. Got some darts play for us, and it's rapid. We're in Premier League Week 15, I think we're heading into. But Russ Yerson will explain more at Russ Yers. Give him a follow on Twitter. Hello, Russ. Is it Week 15 now? Premier League darts we're heading into?
It's Week 15, weekend of the Premier League darts. Then it goes straight to the semi-finals.
That's right. That's right. So, big question is, who will qualify for the playoffs?
Yeah, look, the top two are pretty much now done with Rob Cross and Michael Van Gerwen. Then there's a four-way fight to who will make third and fourth. Sulovic, Price, Wade and Gurney.
Yeah.
Two of them meet this week in Gurney and Price. So that's obviously a key matchup. But obviously for Sulovic versus Cross, Sulovic is fourth. He needs to get a point at least or a win to make sure he's in the top four going into final week. But for Rob Cross, he's top of the table. He'll look to win in Week 15 and then follow up with a win in Week 16. And then he tops the table ahead of semi-finals and finals night at the O2 in London.
Yeah. Yeah, well, just looking at the Sulovic versus Rob Cross here on Thursday, 9th of May. Rob Cross priced in at 1.91. That seems quite a backable favourite.
Yeah, look, Rob Cross has been superb. He's been the most consistent. That's why he's top of the table on 20 points. I fancy him to get the job done here.
Yeah.
Sulovic will be a bit nervous going into this, although he's been playing quite well in recent weeks. Cross has been even in better form, scoring well. His checkouts have been high. And I just think Rob Cross knows that if he can finish top, he may well get to play Sulovic in the semi-finals. And then he'll be confident enough to get a place in the final where I would have thought he'll play against Van Gerwen.
Yeah, I think so. Then we've got Daryl Gurney, Gerwin Price there. Very, very evenly matched there on the outrights. How do you see that game playing out?
Oh, I'm all over Daryl Gurney here. He's 1-2 on the spin. He beat Michael Van Gerwen last week. He's full of confidence. Price lost to Wade last week. There's a bit of needle between those two. So Price stormed off the stage after losing, and he didn't win the previous week. So he hasn't won in two. He knows he needs to win ahead of Week 16 to have any chance of qualifying for the semi-final as well. As I said, Daryl Gurney, I fancy him to get the job done here. I think it's 2.4. I think that's a bit of value. I think Gurney is in such good form. He should be a bit shorter. But look, you never know in the Premier League of darts. But as I said, Gurney's in really, really red-hot form. You don't beat Michael Van Gerwen every day of the week. So he'll be boosted by that win and know that a win in Week 15 could see him into semi-finals night.
Yeah. How do you think Michael Van Gerwen took that beating there? Do you think do you think it sort of woken him up a little bit? Thought, oh dear, I better step things up a little bit.
Yeah, funny enough, he did that there was the Australian Open last weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which he won that quite handsomely. So he knows he can bounce back. He will bounce back. He does bounce back. He is the world number one. He is the best player. come semi-finals night, he'll be in red hot form. Thus, he's 1.53 to win the Premier League of darts.
Yeah.
And obviously, this week he faces Peter Wright, who is joint bottom with Michael Smith. It's not a walkover as such for Van Gerwen, but he will win this. He could even win it 8-0. It's just a massive mismatch. So he wins, goes to 21 points. It's just up to Rob Cross whether he can do the same over Sulovic and go up to 22.
Yeah. I have to say as well, that loss there, Michael Van Gerwen's odds still 1.53, still very low. Obviously, on the other side, the Michael Smith seems to be struggling. James Wade there, priced 2.1 to beat him. That seems like a decent price against a guy that is struggling in form.
100% that. I would have that at 1.9 James Wade. I'm all over that. I'm all over that price of. I had 2. He's even gone to 2.1. I'm not sure why. Smith is getting beat every week. He's out of it on 9 points. He cannot qualify. He's got nothing to play for apart from pride. Wade knows he needs to win. He wants to make semi-finals night. And again, you look at who Smith has played in recent weeks: Sulovic, Gurney. They've all beaten Smith because they want it a bit more. And again, at 2.1, Wade, that's an absolute banker, in my opinion. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking, Russ, I have to say. So James Wade, we've got 2.1. We like Rob Cross, 1.91. We like, I can't remember now what you said, which one said Daryl Gurney at 2.4. Michael Van Gerwen, obviously priced too below there, 1.32. But you think he can win this like 8-0. So what would be the bet for that match?
I'm leaving it alone just because it could be any score. But again, if you fancy a couple of quid, definitely on 8-1 or 8-0. Yeah. Which probably priced around about 7 or 8 to 1. Yeah. Because Michael Van Gerwen is in such good form and Wright is just not playing well at all. Yeah. And finally, obviously there's a few prop bets that are available for night 15s. There's specials. So, for example, one of them is any player to lose 8-0. So you could put literally, it's odds of 15 there. So you could put literally £1 on that. That would be like an interesting prop bet. There's another one here, odds of 4 to 6 on there being a drawn match on 9:15 or 11 to 10 on no draw match. Now, I'm going to guess you're going for the no draw match at this point. Yeah, again, I picked my 3 winners, and obviously the 4th winner would be Van Gerwen. So I don't think there will be a draw this week. But again, in previous weeks, we've tipped up a draw. And it's come in at a nice, handy price. But yeah, I think this week there'll be all winners. Yeah,
absolutely. So if you want to read more darts week 15, there, Premier League week darts 15, head on over to oddsmarket.com, hit the more page, and you'll read more about Russ Yerson's darts picks there. Russ, a pleasure. Obviously, as always, I'll see you tomorrow on the Premier League Punters Show. You, myself, and Flash. It is the last week 38. The last week of Premier League Punters Show. So I look forward to seeing you then. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Nat. See you tomorrow.
All right, guys. Now we're heading over. We're going to speak with Adam Booth. We are talking NHL. He just submitted an Eastern Conference Series 3 article, which is currently now up on oddsmarket.com. We're going to check in with him, see what his bets are to date. Adam Booth. Good to see you. Happy Tuesday. How's everything?
Great. Yeah, I was mostly into Dota all day. I had my head fully in the sand with that. But it was a good day, so I'm treating myself to a cheap little beer tonight. It wasn't so good that I can afford, the top quality shit stuff. But I'm happy with a Budweiser.
With a Budweiser, nice. Do you know Budweiser is actually all like European beers, and they're really expensive, like Stella or Budweiser or any of these imported beers here are really expensive. So it's actually quite expensive over for where we are. All right. So obviously we have got one game left of the Western Conference Series 2. Is that?
We've got two games left in both Western Series, but yeah, one game in each series.
One game on each series, yes. So I've got the first question here is between Blues and Stars. How do you see that game unfolding, and who can best deal with the pressure?
Yeah, that's a good one. So in the article that I wrote for Odds Market before the series started, all the projections said that this one was going 7 games, which I wrote about. And so my tip, I guess you could say, was to take Stars plus 1.5. And if they went up 2-1 or 3-2, to then hop on the Blues at a much better price to then win the series. So you're protected from both outcomes. Either the Stars win outright and you'll cover your plus 1.5, or the Blues will come back and take the series and you'll get a much better price. And it's worked out perfectly. The Stars went up 3-2, and then I tweeted out that I was going to hop on the Blues money line. I think it was plus 3.2 or something. And Blues won game 6. Now I've got a game 7 situation where I've already won the Stars plus 1.5 on the series bet, and I've got a much nicer price than the money line is offering tonight. The money line tonight is 1.65, I think, is the best price.
Yeah.
So, and we talked about this at the end of round 1 for the game 7s. Game 7s are just so unpredictable. They're tight. Everything's on the line the whole season, and especially with these two teams, they're very similar in style. They're comfortable playing in their own zone. They've got solid goaltending, and so I have no money on tonight's game because I've already got the Blues outright ticket. Now, if you're not in the same position I am, I would lean Blues. I mean, we do talk about home ice being a slight advantage in playoffs. It still is a slight advantage, not a 1.65 advantage. But the Blues should justifiably be favored here. In Game 6, there was a weird sequence of events where Ben Bishop, the goalie for the Stars, took a high slap shot, which hit him in the collarbone area. And he looked a bit shaken. He let in an easy goal right after that one, and then he went down on that. He was sort of laying on the ice. The Blues scored while he was laying on the ice. Then a minute later, they took an easy slap shot on him, and he sort of just skated off. He sort of quit on that game. It was a really bizarre situation. Apparently, he's fine. He will be ready to go for Game 7. But again, when we talk about the psychology of sports, you got to think Binnington hasn't had that go on in an elimination game, and so I do give the Blues an edge here at home, even though they haven't been great at home.
Yeah. I was going to say, the home ice advantage, 1.68. I do see the money is coming on them, even though they're priced, they're short. They're at 1.68. Then obviously on tomorrow or Thursday, we've got Colorado Avalanche, San Jose Sharks. San Jose Sharks, they are the favorite, price 1.73, but money is actually coming in on Colorado Avalanche. So do San Jose Sharks deserve to be the favorites?
They do, and the price that we're seeing for them Game 7 is the exact price that they were before the series started, or at least opened at. I think they opened at, and it actually moved against them. A lot of money came in on Colorado. Now, Colorado has already sort of exceeded, I think, the general public's expectations of them this season by getting past the first round, Calgary Flames, pushing the San Jose Sharks to Game 7. I mean, these were the two top Western seeds, and essentially, and so the Sharks should be favored. I'm not particularly a fan of Colorado. I don't think their goaltending is anything to brag about. I think their defensemen are okay. I think they're good at moving the puck forward to their talented forwards. The top line of Colorado in this series has not been great. They've scored, they've put up points, but they have a very poor plus minus, which is a reflection of they're on for more goals against than they actually put out. So that's an issue when they're playing 25, 26 minutes a night, and they're playing against multiple lines of the Sharks, and you can't count on them to be as efficient at 5-on-5 as they are on the power play. They have to be more responsible in their own zone. They can't just expect that they're going to put up 5 goals and the Sharks aren't going to be able to score on Grubauer. So I think the price is justified. I've still got San Jose Sharks money line for the series. Again, there's no reason to bet them here. It's the exact same price tonight on the money line. So all I'm doing, again, like I said in the first round, is doubling up on profits on the same line or doubling up my losses. So root for the Sharks tonight. I do lean their way, and I think that price is more justified than the Blues price.
I will be rooting for the Sharks, Adam. Now, the Capitals, Lightnings and Islanders are gone. How have the Bruins managed to avoid a similar upset?
Yeah, good question. The Bruins, I mentioned it briefly in the article. They're just really well-rounded. They've got an excellent top line in Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Marchand, which has been broken up here and there, but they stick together on the power play and are very lethal. But they've got veterans, they've got young talent, they've got depth of forwards, they've got guys who can play big minutes on D, who can penalty kill. If one of their top defensemen is in the box, they have guys that can step up. Tuukka Rask, their goalie, has led the NHL playoffs in save percentage. He has taken the most shots, well over 400 in the first 13 games of the playoffs. And he isn't someone who is very flashy back there, but he gets the job done. He makes the saves that he ought to. Most of the goals against him are, perfect shots or opportunities where he really never had a chance. And that's kind of all the Bruins need with all their depth. They're comfortable playing on their back foot and capitalizing when they do get to counterattack. So the Bruins are also physical, and the later it goes in a series, if you can bully and push around your opponent, like I expect them to do against the Carolina Hurricanes, that is an advantage, not just a psychological one, but you can beat up on the defensemen when they're going back to retrieve the puck. They're checking the shoulders. They're no longer comfortable, holding onto the puck. They're trying to chip it out. They're making turnovers. So I like the Bruins here, but my advice in today's article was kind of a fence-sitting one. I don't like the price, and if you know me at all, I like to be patient and wait for particular lines, take underdogs where I can, and I'm in no rush to take the Bruins at 1.66 or whatever the line. I think that was about the area of the line. Maybe you can refresh my memory, but they're definitely a little bit expensive for how talented and how fast, I guess, the Carolina Hurricanes are.
Yeah. And currently, right now, who's got your money to win to be the Stanley Cup winner?
Well, I've only got two pending outrights on sort of the Western Conference winners. I've got the St. Louis Blues and the San Jose Sharks to both win the West. So hopefully, one or both get it done tonight, so that I have great opportunities because they were both at 7 and 7.5. So I'm going to be coming out with some nice profit as long as one or both of them clear through this round. Now, I don't want to take a shot on anybody in the West right now. I would rather wait till we have the final four teams. The Bruins, because I think they're justifiably favored against the Canes. The Bruins would have, if I had to put down money, it would be on the Bruins to win the Cup. They do have all the pieces necessary. Last year, they lost against the Tampa Bay Lightning in the second round. And I think that is always a good experience for a team going into the next year. If they can get back to that same position, they'll be better than they were. And we saw the Bruins all the pieces are working right now, and they've got guys on the bench, healthy scratches who can step in if guys get injured or coaching adjustments need to be made. So I do think the Bruins are the best bet right now prior to seeing how these Game 7s wrap up tonight and tomorrow.
Right, I see. All right, wonderful stuff. Adam Booth, Lockie QWERTY. Follow him on Twitter. Thank you very much, Adam. We'll check in with you soon, and best of luck.
Thanks, Nat.
All right, final segment here. We're going to talk a bit of golf. Now, we were down to just talk the Byron Nelson, but he's also written an article for the British Masters as well, which I feel needs a little talk about. But let me introduce Craig Edwards to the show here to talk some golfing tips. Hello, Craig. Welcome.
Evening, Natalie.
How's everything going?
How are you?
Very good, thank you. Very good. I'm actually just, I'm off to Florida on Thursday. I'm filming Friday and Monday from Florida, but I'm all good. I'm sort of like getting into holiday mode, am I? And yeah, looking forward to talking a little bit of golf tips here with these tremendously high odds that you like to give us.
Yeah, well, there's going to be plenty of them this week, I think.
I know. Well, I've been working on your article a little bit. So we've just uploaded. We're about to upload the Byron Nelson article. We have just uploaded the British Masters, but we'll start with Byron Nelson. First question is what sort of course is Trinity Forest, and who will it suit?
Well, it was built on Wasteland by Ben Crenshaw. He was the main designer. There was another one, but he's the one that people will know. And unusually, he built it on Wasteland with the idea of it being a links-type course, where very much US PGA Tour players don't play on links-type courses unless they come over for the British Open. So it is quite unusual, and it's a really different test for them. Last year, they had a real wet weather front go through Texas, and it meant the course played soft, which made it play easy. Mm-hmm. So I think, though, the last time I looked at the forecast, there was wet weather forecast this year as well, so the course's defences may not be as strong. I think if you got on the course when it was dry weather, running fast, then you would see a different course totally. So you know, it is very unusual for the US PGA Tour. Some of the pros won't even probably entertain it because they're used to playing quite target golf every week, where they rely on the yardages heavily and you know, not so much imagination and a bit of creation around the greens, really.
My question now is Brooks Koepka. How do you pronounce his Brooks?
Brooks Koepka, yeah.
Yeah. Is there value on him, or would you say the odds are too low?
I would let it go this week because I think he'll have one eye on next week, which is the PGA Championship, the major. So this will be his first outing since he lost to Tiger at the Masters. So he will use this week to sharpen his game. He did come second a couple of years ago in the Byron Nelson. That was on the old course, though. So this course is only their second year playing it. So I do think the demands of the course will suit him. He can play the US Open type courses and played well at the British Open. So I certainly expect him to play well this week. But I do think he'll have half an eye on making sure he's properly prepared for next week's test.
Yeah.
2 major championships last year, the one the year before, his whole schedule will be based around major championships, and he's a proper winner of them. I mean, he's only been playing them for like 3 or 4 years. He's already won 3, whereas someone like Dustin Johnson's only won 1 in his total career. So you've got to think that I'll be leaving Brooks Koepka alone this week, but he may well win. He's got the class.
Yeah, all right, but maybe too low. Aaron Wise, can he defend his crown?
Yeah, definitely. There's not been that much defending of crowns on the US PGA Tour of the year, unless you're Tiger Woods or Brooks Koepka. There was a guy called Natalie Rydstrom. He used to be quite good at defending titles he'd won. And I quite like Aaron Wise. He played well at the Masters. First time he played well all season. And then last week at the Wells Fargo, I liked him again. And he played better than his finishing position. He was quite in and out of contention, getting right up to the top of the leaderboard, then dropping a shot or two. I expect he'll be sharper this week. And this should be a peak week for Aaron Wise. If he's going to win all season, this will probably be the week.
Interesting. All right, so one to keep an eye with. And Spieth, do you expect him to play well?
Well, I think he's playing because it's in Texas. It's his home state. He always supports the golf there. He needs to find some form. Yeah. It's difficult to support him. I mean, I love watching him. He's a mercurial player. There's something quite savvy and cavalier about the way he goes about his business. But at the moment, he needs something more substantial. He'll shoot a 66 to lead after round one, then shoot a 76 round two. And he's got whatever's gone on with Jordan Spieth. He's lost his edge at the moment. I mean, hopefully he will get it back soon. But at the odds, I would not be supporting him this week. And he'll have all the media demands being in his home state as well. He'll have a lot of other attention on him and things to do. So I would not be supporting him.
Yeah, probably some home crowd support though. What are the long shots that you like? So we're going to get into the players that you actually do like, and where's the value on the each way? Right.
Well, I like Keith Mitchell. He won the Honda Classic already this year. Really impressive young player. I followed him a lot last year. He didn't win, but he got placed an awful lot. He won the Honda Classic in impressive style. He saw off Brooks Koepka, if I remember rightly. Had a few weeks in the doldrums since, and then last week he was back in the top 10. Last year he got placed second or third here. I really like him. I think he was 40 to 1 he opened. I don't know if there's any 40 to 1 still about, but 33 to 1's absolutely fine. He would be my strongest bet this week at the price. And he's the sort of player. He's in such an upswing of a young career that you'd expect him, if he hits the top of the leaderboards, to probably go on and win it this week. I can't see any reason not to back Keith Mitchell this week. He would be my strongest bet, definitely, Natalie.
Okay.
Down below, guy I like. He played well last week, and I managed to back him on the Betfair exchange at about 90 to 1 for a top 20 finish, and he managed to get it last week. Brendan Todd, a player that totally lost form on the PGA Tour, having won a couple of times, made a really strong impact. And as often happens, players just totally lose the plot, the confidence goes. And this season he's been playing on sponsors' invites. He caught my eye at the end of last season. He pre-qualified somewhere with a round of 64, and I've been following him since. And I think last week was the first week he'd yielded a profit on the top 20 market. So he is a winner of this title previously, and he has also finished second, not at this course. But you would think, having had his best performance in a few years last week, coming to an area where he's won before, he'll be looking forward to this week. Not quite sure if the course will suit him, but he's 12 to 1 a top 20 finish. I think he's 300 to 1 in places each way. I won't put anyone off having a very small bet at 300 to 1, having a decent bet on top 20. I do really like his chances. He came good last week, which I kind of wasn't hoping he would, even though I won money, because I knew he was going to come good somewhere. And he might have even been 500 to 1 this week if he'd not looked so good last week. And I always like Texas players or players that have grown up in Texas, that coming back to the area, often also players that have been to university, college in Texas and play for the collegiate teams. They're very good to follow. So you got Colt Knost, who was brought up in Texas, though he's not Texan. He played well last week for the first time in a long, long time. And he's a ridiculously big price in places. Martin Piller, struggling to get too many starts on the PGA Tour, but did play well a few weeks ago in Mexico. And I followed him in previously on the Texas swing, and he often plays well. So I always like to to know where the player's coming from their area, because not only that, they'll be in their own bed this week. They won't be like Jordan Spieth. They won't have the paparazzi after them all week. They'll just be able to come and go and concentrate on their golf.
Go home to their own house and that definitely plays a point. All right, great stuff. Again, all written down there over on oddsmarket.com. So do go check that out. And quickly, just talking a little bit about the British Masters here. What are you liking here? How are you playing the British Masters? What court does it suit? And who's taking your money in right now?
Who's taking my money? Well, it's a brand new course for the European Tour. It's Hillside. Yeah. It's got a rich history though. It's hosted all the amateur championships. It's a link style course. It is on the Open Rota, but it has never hosted the Open, and it's widely renowned as the best course never to have hosted the Open. Greg Norman said it's got the best back nine of any course in Great Britain, and so we're looking for links players. Tommy Fleetwood is the hosting professional because he was born and raised in Southport, I believe, definitely raised in Southport, and I think he'll be distracted. He's the favourite, so we will go straight past him. I don't like to back too many favourites. So when I was looking at the old form of the Amateur Championship, a couple of guys stuck out. First one was Tom Lewis, who has been a real improver on the European Tour for the last 9 months. And he's been chasing a spot in the top 50 in the world, so he's been jet setting and probably shouldn't have been. Now, back in England this week, he loves links golf. I really like Tom Lewis's chances this week. In that 2011 Amateur Championship, another guy from it is Ashley Chesters, and I think he reached the last 16 and Tom Lewis reached the quarters. Ashley Chesters is another guy I've got in my notes for link style courses. He's found it very difficult to win on the European Tour, and at times quite difficult to get in the top 4 or 5, but he's a very consistent player and he makes a really rock solid top 20 bet. A lot of these players will have no experience of the course whatsoever. So I like to side with them two in particular. And then we've got a local lad for first round leader, Matthew Baldwin. He's playing on a sponsor's invite. And I often follow him on the European Tour, especially in the first round leader market. Some players they have such a prolific record in the first round leader market. It's quite astounding, and he's one of them. So a small bet on him to be first round leader. I think you can get 150 to 1, but it's easily 125 to 1 each way. It wouldn't surprise me. Again, he's got his home comforts. He may have a few distractions though, because I think he's going to be quite popular there. But I'm hoping he can just keep it together for the first round, definitely. And I definitely like them 3 players because they all have some experience of the course. And then quite like I was looking in the English Amateur Championships because they all play similar linksy types course, open courses, Carnoustie, places like that. And Romain I can't even pronounce it, Lanask, he's a French guy, about 50 to 1, 66 to 1. He won the English Amateur Championship in 2015. And he started off brilliantly on his professional career. And then he had a period of losing his confidence. And I think it's second season syndrome, I talk about it, when a player suddenly has expectations, they expect to earn hundreds of thousands, and suddenly when it doesn't come easy, they lose their confidence quickly and it snowballs. But in these last few months, he's put together a solid looking form. Last week he was placed, and we know he likes link style courses. I'm taking a chance that the course will suit him, but I think it will. Normally linksy players do repeat, so I think he's a sporting bet as well. And then finally, Scotland lad from Aberdeen, David Law. He won down under 1,000 to 1 at the start of the year. No one could have seen it coming. He won with an eagle on the 72nd hole. It's quite an interesting backstory to him. He's not always had it easy, and he's had a few ups and downs, not of his own making. But he's really on track now. And the 2 weeks ago at the Trophy Hassan in Morocco was the first time he showed any form since winning down under. From Aberdeen, he'll like link style courses. He will have been brought up on them. So I'm definitely, he's 300 to 1, 12 to 1, top 10, top 20 finish. I like the outsiders this week. I honestly think that the top of the market is opposable. So just some small bets on those outsiders that I've recommended, I would say.
All right, great stuff with some fantastic odds there. That was Craig Edwards at EdwardsTips_. Give him a follow on Twitter. Pleasure talking to you, Craig. We'll check in with you soon. Thank you everybody for watching. And yeah, take care.
Have a good holiday.
Thanks.
Thank you.